it's all made up in my head. Destiny's melody calling out to me, so what I'm gonna do is fall for you and walk out to the edge.
So today is the release anniversary of FNaF 1 when it first came out on Steam for the first time ever. And the first night, we hear a line from Phone Guy that we still don't know for sure what it means. Remember this, guys?
They used to be allowed to walk around during the day, too. But then there was the bite of 87. Yeah. It's amazing that the human body can live without the frontal lobe, you know?
So somebody, so an animatronic bit somebody in the head, and the person lost their frontal lobe, but they survived it. That's what Phone Guy's saying here. But we still don't know for sure who actually caused this bite of 87. So today I'm gonna be going over everybody that it could be, and saying who's the most likely and the least likely to the most likely for who did the bite of 87. So let's start off with number 1. Let's start off with the least likely and go to the only animatronic without teeth, the puppet. And the reason the puppet is in last place is exactly because of that. The puppet has no teeth. She can't bite down on somebody's head. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. So yeah, the puppet didn't do it. But yeah, let's move on to the next one, number 2. I mean, it's not really number 2, honestly, because yeah, I'm just gonna say number 2. But whatever. Even though it should be number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Puppet is number 12. Let's move on to number 11. Number 11 is an animatronic who also is just as unlikely as the puppet, or at least a little bit more likely because he actually has teeth. But he doesn't have a top jaw to bite down with, or technically bite up because you can't move your top jaw. But yeah, it's Withered Bonnie, because he doesn't have a top jaw to bite, to actually bite the top of the head. He can't do that. So yeah, Withered Bonnie is just a no-go. He can't possibly do that. And similarly, or not really similarly, but again, the next animatronic is literally incapable of doing so, and that is it's still recording. And the animatronic that's literally incapable of biting somebody's frontal lobe is BB. BB actually has teeth, and he has a top jaw and a bottom jaw. I was debating whether to put him higher than Withered Bonnie or not, but I think him going higher is actually reasonable, because at least he has a full set of teeth. But yeah, BB is number 10. So yeah, let's just move on to number 9. The only reason number 9 is higher than Balloon Boy is because we know less about her, so she could be more aggressive than we know, because we don't really know much about her at all. Maybe we'll get an explanation in one of the Fazbear Frights books. It's JJ. Like I said, we don't know much about her, so maybe what we don't know about her is really what makes her really aggressive, so she could actually be really aggressive. But I really doubt that. I mean, it's pretty much just like BB, except pink and purple and stuff. But yeah, that's it. Next up is an animatronic I think is pretty unlikely, simply because of the fact that I don't think she's able to bite down, considering her jaw is broken. Of course, I'm talking about Withered Chica. Her jaw is broken. The only thing attaching the top of her head to her body is the endoskeleton and wires. That's it. That's literally it. So I don't think she could bite down. So yeah, Withered Chica comes in at number 8. And let's move on to number 7. Number 7 is pretty unlikely too, but the only reason she's higher than Withered Chica is because one of her voice lines. Listen to this.
Where's my beak? Lodged in your forehead, of course.
So yeah, I think Toy Chica's a little bit more likely than Withered Chica just because of that voice line. Like, how is her beak in her forehead? But yeah, the reason she's still not very high is because I don't think she even has top teeth. And even if she does, like, she's got a beak. How is she gonna bite down with it? Oh yeah, forgot to mention. I bought FNaF 2 on my phone, so I'll be doing a video on that probably tomorrow. Just letting you know. And I'll try to beat 1020 mode on the release anniversary. But that's gonna be like November, so hopefully it's a weekend. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'll be able to because I'll be having school then. Yeah, I'm going back to school. Full time. Except we're gonna be inside and wearing masks all day, which I'm okay with. Honestly, I'd rather go to school than do school at home because, like, school at home, like, doing your work just on the computer sucks. Online school is horrible. Anyway, next up we have an animatronic who's pretty high up because of the handprint that later on gets on his face, and that's Withered Freddy. But Withered Freddy is still pretty unlikely for 2 reasons. One I'll get to later on, with number 2. With number 2 on the list, but Withered Freddy right now is what number is this? 6. Number 6 is Withered Freddy. And yeah, Withered Freddy has, Freddy ends up having a handprint on his face, later on, and that could have been a child's hand. But one of the reasons that's probably unlikely is it's a child's it's somebody's right hand. How did somebody's right hand get over there when their head is is inside his mouth? Like, seriously, I'm just gonna turn on Do Not Disturb just in case. Yeah, because I just got a notification on from YouTube on my iPod phone. That's what I like to call it. So I just don't want to get any notifications. But yeah, Freddy has a handprint on his face. But how did a child's hand get there? When their head is in the mouth. If anything, it would be the left hand. But I still think he's more likely than all the ones that we've gone over so far because he actually has teeth that are pretty good teeth, pretty nice teeth. Actually, they're pretty yellow now that I'm looking at it. Hold on. Damn, they're actually pretty yellow. Dude, go to the dentist. You serious, dude? Yeah, go to the dentist. Dick hell. Dick hell? I mean dick hole. Okay, sure. But yeah, Withered Freddy was number 6. Now let's move on to number 5, which is an animatronic that you wouldn't expect to be this high, but it's only higher than Withered Freddy because of a reason that I'll go over when we talk about number 2 again. But yeah, okay. Now it is Toy Bonnie. Now, Toy Bonnie seems just as unlikely as Toy Chica, right? But again, there's a reason that I'm going to mention when we talk about number 2 on the list. Yeah. So, I think Toy Bonnie is more likely than Withered Freddy just because, well, the reason that I'm going to talk about later on. Also, what do I mean also? There's nothing else to say. But yeah, okay. Next up, we have Toy Freddy. Similarly, at number 4, we have Toy Freddy. Now, yeah, you know, I forgot to mention this. Only number 1 actually makes sense. Only number 1 makes sense for the lore. None of the other animatronics make sense. But yeah. Toy Freddy is more likely than Toy Bonnie just because he has more teeth. Like, if you look at Toy Bonnie, he has buck teeth. Like, what are those going to do to a human skull? I doubt very much. I doubt it's going to do very much. And his teeth are pretty small. Toy Freddy's, on the other hand, are bigger, and he has more on the top jaw. So I think that would be, it would be easier for him to bite. Anyways, next up at number 3, we have one that's... Okay, now we're getting into the top 3 are actually... All of them are pretty likely. All of them are pretty likely. And, the least likely of the pretty likely ones is Withered Golden Freddy. Now, the reason I think Golden Freddy makes sense kind of makes sense, is because of the 1987 Easter egg from FNaF 1. If you go into the custom night and you know what? Hold on, I'll do it now. I'm just gonna do it. Nope, that's FNaF 2. FNaF 1. Custom night. 9. If you set it to 1, 9, 8, and 7, this happens. Yep, that happens. Nope, wrong thing. Photos, yeah. Yeah, so Golden Freddy jump scares you if you type in 1987. So I think that makes it pretty likely. Number 2 and number 1 are a lot more likely, though, honestly. Like, there's a big gap, and number 2 is a lot more likely than Withered Golden Freddy. Withered Golden Freddy, his teeth aren't that big, so he's still not that likely. But, yeah, he's still mediocre melodies. He's pretty mediocrely likely. But yeah, number 2, we have Withered Foxy. So Withered Foxy, he makes a lot of sense, except for one small thing, but I'll get to that in a second. First of all, there's the fact that in FNaF 1, he's out of order. But what kind of doesn't make sense about that, you would think, you might think like, oh, because he did the bite of 87, that's probably why he's out of order. But here's the thing. The Withered animatronics are the classic animatronics are the fixed Withered animatronics, right? But here's the thing. Withered Foxy has less withering on his chest than regular Foxy does. Regular Foxy has like a big gash and like a cut on the left side right under his armpit. But Withered Foxy has it in different places. So it seems like Foxy and Withered Foxy had 2 different witherings. So after Withered Foxy was fixed and like remodeled, he broke some more. So yeah, another incident probably caused him to be out of order. Anyways, also what makes him another thing that makes him pretty likely is the fact that he has like an unhinged jaw and he has a lot of teeth and they're all really sharp. But the reason that number 1 is way more likely than Withered Foxy is because of one thing, and that is FNaF 2 Night 6. So if you beat Night 6 in FNaF 2, you get a newspaper clipping. And on the newspaper clipping, it says at the bottom that the toy animatronics were scrapped due to malfunction. Let that sink in. The toy animatronics were scrapped due to malfunction. That's saying, oh, one of the toy animatronics bit the frontal lobe, caused the bite of 87. That's gotta be it. And that's why at number 1 we have the character that is so freaking likely. And it is, of course, it's Mangle. Okay, let's just start from the top. Mangle is a toy animatronic. And we already know toy animatronics are probably the most likely to do it. There's also the fact that she has 2 heads. Well, 1 male head and 1 female head. 1 female head and 1 male head. So maybe she used both heads to bite into the frontal lobe, but that's like less evidence. But maybe that'll help. Maybe that made it easier to break through all the way. Anyway, she has huge teeth, very, very, very freaking sharp. And remember, you know, Mangle was like ripped apart and put back together by kids, right? And look how mangled she is. I mean, that's why she got her name Mangle. Because she's completely destroyed. Only the endoskeleton is left, and it's like pieces of it are in weird places. They took other endoskeletons and put them onto the endoskeleton, like attached them on. You can see a whole other leg there. Like, whose leg is that? And then there's also another piece of the endoskeleton that attaches to like the rib cage, and then it attaches to the shoulder. Like, what happened to this thing? What did they do? Like, and then her hand is replaced by her head, and then one of her legs is her hand. Like, that's where her legs are, and then it stretches out to her hand. Like, what happened? They destroyed this thing, and because of that, they broke the jaw so much that it's even more unhinged than Withered Foxy's is. It's way more unhinged, so that, like, this is the only animatronic whose jaw is unhinged enough that it can open its mouth wide enough to actually bite the frontal lobe, because the frontal lobe is the largest part of the human brain, and none of the other animatronics have a large enough jaw to get the actual frontal lobe, like destroy the actual frontal lobe. So yeah, guys, this is my theory on who did the bite of 87. Let me know who you think did the bite of 87 in the comments down below. Yeah, this is my theory. I definitely think Mangle did it. Like, there's no denying that Mangle did it. If you disagree, that's fine. Let me know who you think did it in the comments below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Impulse 7 out. Peace.